Video 14 for Additive Equations, Tables, and Graphs by Mr. Nelson. Hello, I'm the British Tyson Chandler, and this video is going to be ridiculous. Alright, here are your notes, and we're going to go through these notes together. Make sure you listen, that you write down the things that you see. If you come up with any questions to the video that I'm not able to answer directly through the video, please include that in your Google Doc. Alright, let's begin. Okay, Billy went hiking in the Grand Canyon. He started his hike at an elevation of -3 feet. Show the relationship of Billy's change in elevation to his actual elevation with a description, an equation, a table, and a graph. Alright, so to start, we know that he started his elevation at -3 feet. We also know that we want to show the relationship. Okay, that means we got two variables here, and one is Billy's change in elevation, and the other is Billy's actual elevation. And we're going to do that with a description, an equation, a table, and a graph. And all of these will be related, and you can work in any order that you want. I'm going to work just in this order right here, but you could be given a table and be asked to find a graph, or a graph and be asked to find an equation. So you need to be able to see this from all different angles. Okay, so we're going to start by writing a short verbal description here. So here we go. Okay, so to find Billy's actual elevation, you add -3 feet to his change in elevation. Okay, so if Billy is just sitting there, and by the way, copy this down, but if you're going to find his actual elevation, he starts at -3 feet. So every time he drops a foot, his actual elevation, if he drops 1 foot, will be -4 feet. If he drops 2, it will be -5. So you just add a -3 to find the change in elevation. Okay, now we're going to look at the independent variable, the dependent variable, the equation, and what type of relationship these two are. Okay, first let's talk about the independent variable. What is independent? Meaning that it changes. It's what cause. It's like basically the cause. And so if you look back up here, it's his change in elevation is going to be the cause. Okay, so we're going to write change in elevation here. Okay, change in elevation. The dependent variable is a variable that depends on the change in elevation. That's going to be Billy's actual elevation. Okay, we can't find his actual elevation without first inputting what his change is, how far he's already hiked down. So the y, or the dependent variable, is going to be the actual elevation. Okay, and now we can look at our scenario that we had here, and we can use that to help us determine our equation. So our actual elevation is y. That's what's dependent. That is going to be equal to, if we're going to add -3 feet to his change in elevation. His change in elevation is x. So whatever his change in elevation is, we put that as x. We're going to add a -3. Okay, and right here it says, is this relationship multiplicative or additive? Well, right here we have an addition sign. So this one is kind of straightforward. Obviously it's going to be additive. There you go. Okay, we're going to look at the second part here. Same problem, but now we're going to use this table. So what I'm going to do is the equation that I just wrote down, I'm going to put right up here so that I have that as reference. Okay, so I put my equation right here, y equals x plus a negative 3. My x is the change in elevation. My y is my actual. So by labeling it, that's going to help me out. Okay, so let's say the change was 0. What's the actual elevation? So what we do is we say, okay, I'm going to substitute 0 for x. I'm going to add my negative 3. 0 plus a negative 3 equals negative 3. So my actual elevation is negative 3. Okay. Now, if my change is negative 2, I'm going to add that to the negative 3, and that's going to give me negative 5. So that's his actual elevation is negative 5. Okay. Now, if the change is negative 4, substitute that in for x, negative 4 plus the negative 3. And now his actual elevation is going to be negative 7. Okay, now let's say his change is negative 6. Put a negative 6 for x, add in my negative 3, and that will be negative 9. Alright, and finally, if his change is 8 feet in elevation, he walks down 8 feet. That's why it's negative, because he's going down into a canyon. So he walks down 8 feet. If he started at negative 3 feet, his new elevation is negative 11 feet. Okay, now we're going to use this information here to graph over here. Okay, and the graph is going to be very helpful for us because what the graph allows us to do is check and make sure our work is right. If our line, when we plot the dots and connect the dots, if our line is perfectly straight, it means that all of our numbers are correct, or it's validation. So let's go ahead and label our points. Let's say this is point A, and let's write the coordinates on here. So my x is 0, and my y is negative 3. Okay, and let's go ahead and write your coordinates right here. Pause the video and see if they match mine. Okay, so these are our coordinate pairs. Let's start by graphing A, or plotting A on our coordinate plane. So our x, we start right here in the origin. Our x is 0, and our y is negative 3. So 0, negative 3, come down here, plot that point. I'm going to label that A. Okay, point B, start at the origin. My x is negative 2. I'll go over negative 2 and down negative 5, right here. That's B. Alright, C is negative 4, negative 7. So I go from the origin, I go over to negative 4 and down to negative 7. That's C. Alright, D is negative 6, negative 9, over 6, down 9. Here we go. And that is D. And then finally, E is negative 8, negative 11. So I go over 8, down here to 11. And that would be E. Okay. Finally, you connect the dots to make sure it's a straight line. This is the important part, how we check our work. So, and lo and behold, our line is straight. See how that line is perfectly straight? That means that we did everything right over here. So, it's a way to check our work. Now, if you will flip your page over, your notes, you've got your Google Doc question on the back. And what I'm going to have you do is read this problem about Hannah and her broken thermometer. Try to fill in each of these different areas, just like I did for you earlier in the video. And then I'll put some questions up here on the some Google Doc questions up here for you to answer from these different areas. So you have to have answers in each of these areas to actually answer the Google Doc question. Okay, this is what you're going to bring to class right here. Alright, here's Google Doc question number 1. Pause the video and answer. And I should mention that because you already have your answers right here, you could just number along the edge right here and write your Google Doc answers, because it's just multiple choice. So you can number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, whatever, what your choice is right here. So we'll just mark your answers off to the side. Like I said, you've already done all your work right here. Alright, here's Google Doc question number 2. Go ahead and pause the video to answer the question. Google Doc question number 3. Pause the video, answer the question. Alright, Google Doc question number 4. Pause the video, answer the question. Alright, here's Google Doc question number 5. What I'll do, go ahead and read the question, and then I'll zoom in on each of the 4 graphs so you can see it. Alright, here's choice A and choice C right here. And here is choice B and D right here. And choose which one matches your graph. BD, AC. And as they say in show business, that's all, folks. But seriously, that's all. There is no more.